Well, good afternoon and welcome to Saturday, April the 11th, Easter Saturday, not quite Easter yet, well it's Easter tomorrow, and welcome again to the ongoing restoration work on my 1964 Renault Caravelle convertible. As you can see, I've stripped the front luggage area of all the underseal to reveal yet more holes, as I expected. A bit more work in here to clean this out before I can start fabricating the sections that go in, and quite a few rivets to remove as well. Now, I've also taken the step of putting the car up on stands, and we're going to walk around. I'm going to show you something under the car. Now, I said to you on the other videos that the chassis rails are all but gone on this Renault, and I'm going to show you now exactly what I mean. So please bear with me as I limp round to the back of the car. She's quite secure up on stands, but because there's no chassis rails, the axle stands are placed underneath the suspension components, because the car would just collapse if you attempt to use the chassis rails. Now here we are crawling under the car, and you can see there is not a lot of metal under here. What there is air and ferrous oxide. Indeed, the near side chassis rail isn't, and that will have to be fabricated. So if anyone has any dimensions and pictures of what that should look like, that would be very helpful. The cross chassis that goes across the middle of the car that supports parts of the suspension for the rear and the gearbox is looking pretty tasty as well, and I suspect that if one hit it with a hammer it would fall apart. And again, for the offside, there's no chassis rail to speak of. There is enough rail there for me to make up a pattern. Coming to the back of the car, this is the heater pipe that would have run from the engine bay to the front of the car, very much like a VW Beetle, where it would pick up its heat from the engine area. That's going to be gone, and an electric heating system will be installed in the car, which means I could effectively lose that large tunnel, albeit for the sake of the gear change and the handbrake system. Here's the gearbox for the car, 4-speed box, driving 2 drive shafts. On the outside of the drive shafts we can see the caliper, handbrake system, and the spring, of course. All of which I sprayed liberally in duck oil, penetrating oil earlier. I should do that again now, because the more often that's done, the more chance I've got of undoing stuff. So we'll put some more there. Absolutely drench the thing if you can. That's why it makes sense to use, say, something like duck oil, because you can use an applicator like this to apply the fluid, and it will gradually soak into all the metal surfaces, and hopefully there won't be too much fighting going on. So there you are, that's the extent of the damage to the car, right from the front to the back. Moving underneath the rear valance, we can see there isn't a rear valance. Well, it's a thin bit of metal. So anyone out there who might have plans or dimensions for these chassis rails, or indeed knows of a source where I could buy some, please feel free to get in touch. And in the meantime, as ever, look after yourselves, look after each other, stay safe during this time. Speak to you soon.